to do a test, but maybe when we meet with Counselor Singh.
I'll kind of be here.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, that's just a spare, just in case. Let's see, I'm gonna probably, let's see. Counselor Singh, could we do a test with your mic?
Yes, mic check. Is that too loud? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. I think it'll be all right.
Remind him what his name is because it's not on here.
Pardon me? Are you, oh, she's not on there? She's up here?
No, the
Oh.
individual coming up. It was
City Recorder Krager, please call roll.
Counselor Wolf?
Here.
Council President Hu?
Here.
Mayor Lube?
Here.
Youth Counselor? Counselor Singh?
Here.
Okay, if everyone will join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. City Council or staff, are there any non-agenda items this evening?
None from us, Mayor?
Okay. Seeing none, I just wanted to let everyone know we're just going to move the administrative report, which is item number 13, between proclamations and public comment, just so we have an update a little bit earlier. Seeing no other additions, we will move on to proclamations and recognition. And we have Risk Management Analyst Wheeler to give the staff report. Welcome. If you'll just turn the microphone on, there's a button and it'll turn green. Yep, there you go.
Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, council members and Mayor Loop. My name is Tara Wheeler. I am a risk analyst here at the city. I helped to revise Tigard's Juneteenth proclamation and was asked to share some thoughts about the changes I made to the document. I believe the proclamation is a step in the right direction towards building a stronger community of acceptance, understanding, and inclusion. My goal in choosing the words contained in this proclamation was to communicate the feeling of action and a sense of urgency, recognizing the city's responsibility to actively fight for equity, both internally and in the public sphere. How we use words is important, but at the end of the day, it is our actions behind those words that really matter, including the removal of structural barriers that perpetuate racist outcomes. And I look forward to seeing more of these actions across the city. When we step outside our comfort zones and lead with compassion and authenticity, we can create room for change and growth. These changes happen with each one of us in the decisions that we make every day to create positive change in our community. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts, and now I turn it to you, Mayor Loop, to read the final Juneteenth proclamation.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. In honor of Juneteenth 2023, June 19th, 2023, whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, declaring the enslaved people in the Confederate territory free, and formally abolishing slavery in the United States of America. And whereas notification of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and Black Americans in Texas and the southern states. And whereas June 19th celebrates the emancipation of enslaved Black Americans and the importance of fighting for freedom and justice. And whereas Juneteenth recognizes that the struggle for freedom and civil rights of Black Americans is an important part of our shared history for which we must continue to fight. And whereas our community is enriched when we consider these challenges and proactively work for a more equitable and just world. And whereas in partnership with the Tigard-Tualatin School District, the City of Tigard celebrates the freedom of Tigard's Black community members at the Juneteenth event Saturday, June 17th. Now, therefore be it resolved, the City of Tigard Mayor, me, does hereby proclaim her support for designating June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in Tigard, Oregon. Let this day be an opportunity for the city and its residents to gather and acknowledge our country's painful history while we celebrate our vibrant community and continue to build a culture of inclusion and acceptance. Would you like a copy of the proclamation signed? Okay, the next proclamation we have on the agenda tonight is for Vietnamese Heritage and Freedom Flag. And I believe that we have Tao Tu to come up. Would you like to come up? Oh, he's not here yet. Okay. Well,
I'm one of the supervisory for the Vietnamese community in Oregon.
okay.
I can't wait for
Yep. Do you want to come back to it, or? Yeah, we can come back to it and wait until he comes, and we will just move it to after whatever agenda item we've moved through. We can pivot. Okay. The next item on the agenda after our change is the administrative report. And I'd like to bring up Chief McAlpine, who is also going to participate in this report to our community. I will say that, you know, on behalf of myself and the Tigard City Council, and I think, you know, the city of Tigard and our community, it's been a challenging last week for our individuals. Celebrating Pride Month and having some wonderful events. I'm sorry, I'm getting, you know, upset about what is happening in our community. But we have these wonderful events that were set to take place to honor different members of our community. And we had to cancel one of those events due to threats of violence, which is unacceptable in our community. And it was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking decision for the city to have to make, to cancel those events. And it's heartbreaking for our teammates and our staff and our library. And, you know, hate has no place here. And I vow to continue to work towards being committed to a community that is welcoming for everybody and continuing to look at these events that we can plan and move forward with. And so I also want to turn it over to City Manager Reimer to add some information.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the words that you shared, and we too feel the same way, use the exact same words that you say about what happened last week. I do want to start by stepping back a second, though, and just celebrating what happened on Saturday. And our community really came together, as many of you know who were there. Our team came together and really celebrated what's now becoming our annual event at our Pride Parade. And we had our largest parade ever. We had many people along the parade route participating in the parade itself, at the celebration afterwards. We had teammates there from multiple departments, our police department, our public works department, library, and many others I'm not speaking of, that came together, our CERT team, to really make sure that we had the type of event that you're talking about that brings the smiles to our faces. We had people along the parade route honking and just celebrating alongside those that were in the parade itself. So I think that's a great example of what Tigard is about and who we want to be. And it was unfortunate that leading up to that event that we did have to have some conversations about the drag queen story time at the library, and ultimately about the library itself on Sunday of the previous week. Like you, it saddened me personally when I received the call from the chief that that we need to have some conversations about the upcoming weekend. I did not anticipate that level of conversation that we had to have. As a city manager, I absolutely condemn the threats of violence against our community, against our teammates, against our facilities, and just against Tigard. But we did face that this past weekend. But I am extremely grateful for the team that we have here in place, for the community that we have, starting with the leadership of our chief of police, our library director Halstead, who's here, and the many members of our team that came together to really work through what does this mean for the event as well as for our library. Extremely proud of the library team themselves and the police department for their work and planning on what this means for Sunday and the things that we had to do to continue to protect ourselves, our community, our children, our families, and ultimately what Tigard stands for. So my final thought is we have to learn from these, and we have to understand how we move forward, and we thought it'd be appropriate for Chief McAlpine to share some information for all of you, for our community members, of information we have not shared as much publicly as how we can learn from this. So, Chief.
Thank you, City Manager. And again, for the record, Police Chief Kathy McAlpine. Mayor, it's quite forgivable, the emotions, because from the day that we started having these difficult conversations, which is about 3 days leading up to the event, and we started hearing concerning chatter, you can imagine there was a lot of emotions as we were unpacking what this means. And so leading up to this, we were just right along with the library. What do you need? A visible presence, maybe in a car. It was fairly benign. We were not hearing anything. So once again, it seems like, I think there are some people challenging us, well, what is this threat? Is it really credible? Is it one person? That's all it takes? And I can assure you and the community, these are repeated and credible threats. We work with our partners in the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, to vet out these concerns, and it was legitimate and real. And as I learned more, just if you go back 2 years ago for our riot, and we learned a lot, and we took on a lot as far as our capabilities that evening and the damage that was done. Fast forward to this, similar ideologies, similar tactics, and I brought that forward to not only the city manager, but Director Bernard from the library and the rest of our leadership team, and we talked this out. It was a 2-day robust conversation. So the default wasn't to immediately cancel that. It was how can we pivot? How can we still have this event? So they were thoughtfully done. And what I've done is, as Mayor, you saw in your Meet the Mayor, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to that group that showed up. But when you start unpacking this, and the challenge, the blessing is in a public venue, a closed, confined space, you cannot exclude anybody. Everybody has a right to come into that event. And the library's still going on for theirs. We already knew the ideology was to take up the space, to cause a reaction. So now you're talking about family and kids in a confined space. There was other conversations about wanting it to be physical and the threats. And I know you're a mother, you're a mama bear. If somebody came after your kid, you're not even equipped. You're not even on one left or right extremist. You may feel the need to protect him and also make a comment. So we unpacked all of that and said, what would that look like? Could we get people out of the building and all of these things? And the capabilities we would need would be from our regional partners. On Thursday, I did reach out to them. If we were a go, they would come. So just, I want everybody to be very clear. All of our chiefs and sheriff in Washington County would have been there for us if we needed it. But again, we felt at this time that we needed to take a step back. We talked about a virtual one. We talked about maybe just give us 2 weeks. And I have to say that I don't think we were in a space to hear that. And they, I mean, you know, our library staff, they commit. They were emotional and just going, oh my gosh, what is going on? To really to think of an alternative. And so the cancellation was what we thought was the most prudent. And again, I just want to assure people this is thoughtfully done and not in a vacuum. And I still stand by that decision based on what we saw that came on Sunday. We made the right decision for the moment in time and what we were prepared to handle. With that said, we were also asked, okay, once we cancel this, what will that do to the Pride event? And again, as we talk about actionable intelligence, there was nothing that suggested that at our event that anything was going to pivot or that even across the country, one equaled the other. And as you saw from the event, it was highly celebrated, highly successful, and we were there amongst the community, not overly numbered, but I think the right size that we had planned for. And so I think moving forward, all these inclusive events, we have to assess each one of them and sometimes what we've learned now is sometimes that information only comes a couple days ahead of time, and that takes a lot of ramping. We're ready to engage in looking about what this looks like in the future. I think we just now know that we need a little bit more planning. And that's what I've asked our community is just give us the opportunity to talk about what that might look like and how it can be at the table a little bit sooner. Just know that it's a new day, a new dawn, and those issues that we used to see in maybe bigger cities or other parts have now, come to Tigard, and we'll be ready to be part of the solution. I've said that to our community members. This was a moment in time, but this is not the default on any other event. We go by what we say. If I can protect all of our community, or if I need additional resources, we'll have that conversation. But the other comment that I heard, and I just want to acknowledge, is, well, then they won. Whoever they is, they won. And what message does that send? And I would say, I get that sentiment, and I understand it. But they who won was the safety of our children and our community at the moment in time. And yes, I'm ready to pivot and plan and do whatever so that we don't have to keep defaulting and canceling things because it's being challenged. So I just want to, I know it still stings or flat out hurts, but I still think it was a prudent thing to do at the moment with everything that we had. And again, happy to answer any questions, and I will make myself available to the community for more discussion, whatever's necessary to help us move forward and heal, but understand the dynamics that we're facing. And then the other thing I would just say, just Google it, and you will see exactly what's happened across the country for this specific event, and that's what we were hearing. So again, if people need context or visual, it's out there, it's on YouTube, and people can make their own assessment as well. Thank you for that additional context. I think it's, I
I hope it sheds light for our community on why we made the decisions that we made and that they weren't taken lightly. And, you know, last night, thank you for joining me with my Meet with the Mayor. A lot of the questions were around disappointment over the cancellation, but understanding it, but also the question of how do we ensure that this does not happen again, that this isn't something where one person just continues to make a threat and all of a sudden we're no longer able to celebrate each other in community. And I just, you know, to our teammates and to our community, I want to reaffirm that the city manager and the chief of police and myself, we are all committed to having these events in the future, to learning from this unfortunate situation where we had to cancel and being better prepared to protect our community. Even before the cancellation and knowing things were wrapping up, you know, I was happily ready to attend, and I thought about my own family's safety. And I started thinking about whether or not I was comfortable to have my child there. And if I'm not comfortable bringing my child, I cannot ask the community to bring their families to an event that I'm not willing to bring my child to. And so I want to reaffirm the commitment that we will learn from this. We will hold these kinds of events, and we are committed to being a community that is welcoming and equitable to everybody, and this isn't it for us.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, thank you. And I see that Tao Tu is here. So if you, yeah, come on up. If you would, do you want me to just present to you? So I am presenting and recognizing the Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag, dated the 13th of June.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lu.
Thank you.
Council President Phu. Thank you for recognize the Vietnamese heritage and freedom flag, and also recognize the April 30, the Vietnamese Remembrance Day. We hope that we will have a good lesson between our people living in Thailand, living in Oregon, and the city of Thailand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda tonight is public comment. If you would like to call now to get in the queue, please do so. Our phone number is 503-966-4101. And anyone wishing to comment by phone or for the right-of-way vacation or I cannot speak. Or the budget public hearings should call at the beginning of that particular public hearing and not for general public comments. And anyone who wants to have a general public comment today, there is a sign-up sheet in the back of the room if you just want to sign up your name, and we will call you forward. First, we will start with follow-up to previous public comment from Assistant City Manager Nyland.
Good evening, Mayor Lube and councilors. My name is Kathy Nyland. I am the Assistant City Manager under Engagement and Innovation. So our last meeting felt like a million Sundays ago. It was actually May 23rd. And if you remember that meeting, I still think about. It was one of my favorite council meetings at Tigard. We had a number of really important needed conversations, and from that meeting we had 2 written comments and 1 in person. The written comment and in person were from the same person. Those comments were about rent control and really the focus on how housing is so important and not necessarily achievable for all the community. So We had two really interested people who wanted to be part of Tigard, to live in Tigard, and they were struggling to find ways to find that affordable housing. And I just want to say kudos to Randall. He was in person. He applauded during that housing presentation. He stayed until the last minute, and he also acknowledged this was his first time attending a council meeting and providing comment. So we appreciate that. We have him on our list, and we'll inform him of upcoming meetings talking about affordable housing and what we as a city can do. We also had 9 community members who are currently facing housing insecurity or are unhoused who provided comment around time, place, manner. And that was really moving. And I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I imagine everyone was really touched that we heard their voice, because we are developing policy that impacts everyone in that room. So hearing from them directly rather than just talking about people, we're talking to them, was really moving. And we did reach out to Caleb at Just Compassion to echo our appreciation, and our next chart meeting is actually going to be held at Just Compassion, so we can do more efforts to talk again directly with people, those who are most impacted by the decisions we make. So that's my report. We have followed up with each individual or each entity, really again acknowledging and appreciating the voices that they added to the table. I don't have a fun fact. I have more of a kudo. I appreciate Tara, who provided background about one of the proclamations. She mentioned how words are so important. So we are going to be having an upcoming briefing later this month about language and words we use to create a more inclusive community. So looking forward to having that conversation with you on June 27th. That's my report for tonight.
Thank you. And I would echo that words absolutely matter. Next item on our agenda is our Tigard Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome up the Chamber Board of Directors Chair Michelle Cheney to give an update in person. Welcome, come on up. If you could just make sure that the mic is on.
Great, hello, thank you, Mayor Lube, our city councilors. My name is Michelle Cheney. I'm chair of the board of the Tigard Chamber of Commerce.
Can you move that just a little closer?
Yes.
Thank
Is
you.
this better?
Yeah.
I think you have to remind me every time. I need to write myself a note. Thank you for this opportunity to let you know how the chamber is participating in our community. We do run a 9-month Leadership Tigard course, and we met today for the final time. And today we heard from Washington County, TV, FNR, Tigard Police, and the City of Tigard, and we thank you all for participating and for your community involvement. We just finished their project on June 3rd at Cook Park, and it was a very successful event. We had a public offering to our elementary school kids, and we offered resources based on 5 identified areas of need, which were food insecurity, safety, mental health, arts and literacy, and fitness. And each family was given a bag of healthy food and information for how to have a successful summer. So thank you for that. Our Leadership Tigard graduates on June 20th at the Broadway Rose, and we invite all members of the community to come join us in celebrating our graduates. We are also accepting applications next year for the cohort. For our education advocacy and building a strong local economy, we have our DEI committee that meets on June 21st. We also have our Government Affairs and Public Policy Committee, and they meet on June 15. We are also proud that we were able to award 6 graduating seniors a $1,000 scholarship at our Shining Stars Award ceremony. Our goal for 2024 is to raise over $10,000 for scholarships. In our promoting community, we have lots of ribbon cuttings going on, and we invite all of you to check out our calendar and join us. We are also thrilled to announce that we have booked hosts for our Good Morning Tigard events. These are weekly events, and we are booked through the end of the year. So we are getting a lot of interest in our chamber from our local business community, and we really appreciate that. Our Tigard Farmers Market update, that's every Sunday from May through October from 9 to 1:30 at Universal Plaza. We have about 35 to 40 vendors, and we invite all of you to come out and check us out. There's live music at the market every week. For our business update, we still like to remind everyone that businesses are still in recovery mode. And what we're hearing from our community is that long-term staffing, vandalism, houselessness, mental health, and safety are some of our top priorities that we look forward to working with the city to help address. We also want to acknowledge that our CEO of the Chamber sits on the City of Tigard Chart Committee, and we would like to acknowledge all of the work that you do and that we enjoy partnering with you to help find solutions to some of our community's most challenging situations. We are working to bring business partners to the table to be part of the solutions. I also hope that I don't get emotional like Mayor Lube. I am going to take off my chamber name tag for a moment because I've lived in this community for 19 years as a homeowner, and I'm also a small business owner. And I was also at the Pride Parade, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful celebration. And I want to thank everyone, the city, the TTSD, the police department, all of our partners for coming together. And I think it's important that our youth in particular see that we are a welcoming community. At a time when they are trying to figure out their place in the world, I like them knowing that their city supports them as they try to figure out who they want to be. And just thank you. It meant a lot. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And thank you for being out there. It was a wonderful event. I do just want to add that I think Leadership Tigard is a wonderful training if anyone gets the opportunity. Looking at you, Council President Hu. Nothing like public pressure. Councilor Wolf is going to be a graduate next week, and I attended last year. And it's a really wonderful way to get to know areas of Tigard that individuals may not be able to know. So if you're thinking about it, please reach out to the Tigard Chamber to inquire about this next year's cohort. Does anybody have any additional questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming up. The next item on our agenda is our Tigard High School envoy, Kayla Cum, who is going to come up and give her final report tonight. Welcome.
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me one last time. So at Tigard High, the year is coming to a close. Spring sports have ended and fall sports have begun their workouts. On Friday, June 9th, 429 Tigard High students graduated. 309 of these students are going off to college in the fall. 25 seniors have committed to playing collegiate sports. 5 are joining the military. 26 are entering various trades. 56 are entering the workforce, and 5 are taking a gap year. Overall, Tigard High students received a total of $3.7 million in scholarships, with $243,000 being local scholarships. The end of school has nearly arrived for the rest of THS, with the last day being this Thursday, the 15th. It's been a pleasure getting to report with you every month about the happenings at Tigard High School, and I hope you all have a wonderful summer.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here and appreciate you giving us updates about what's going on. And it's really exciting to hear about, all of the various things that, our senior community, I guess graduates now, no longer seniors, are going to be doing. And so we actually have a resolution for you tonight. And it is a resolution acknowledging and commending Kayla Cum for her service as Tigard High School student envoy to the Tigard City Council. Do I have a motion?
Okay. I move to approve resolution number 2312, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And I second the motion with pleasure.
Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-12. A resolution, acknowledging and commending Kayla Cum for her service as Tigard High School student envoy to the Tigard City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will the city recorder conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilor Wolf.
Yes.
Council President Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Lube.
Yes.
Let's see. Youth Councilor Nog is absent. Councilor Singh.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2312 is adopted by unanimous votes of the members present. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. The next item on our agenda tonight is the police chief update. And I believe we also have Officer Orth with us today. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, this is Police Chief Kathy McAlpine, and with me is Officer Brian Orth. You know, it's always nice to be able to sometimes break it up a little bit and have you have a chance to meet some of the other members of the police department. And we're doing this tonight because of a couple things, but mostly if you look at the dashboard, it looks pretty good. For the moment in time, most things have trended down. Our 2023 crime overall is going down. Our calls for service so far, knock on wood, is going down. And it's also a time where, as all of you know, we were doing a proof of concept for whether you want to call it a downtown police beat to, in the budget, I think we've gone anywhere from problem-oriented policing to community-oriented policing concept that you guys will be discussing should the budget pass tonight. And so Brian was selected to, when we needed some immediate relief downtown, what the business owners and community were facing, and then hopefully show you what we're capable of doing when we have dedicated time. So I've asked Brian to come and just give you a little bit of snippet of what he's been able to do in the 2 months. You know, he'll talk all night and he's that engaging, but I think we kept him on task, but we also want to be able to allow for him to answer any of your questions. So with that further ado, Brian, it's all yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here and excited to talk about everything I've been doing down there. They said 2 or 3 minutes, so if I start talking fast, slow me down. So it started off with the Sad Ghost case that you see up there. That was the first thing, and that, as you well know, was the opening weekend of Universal Plaza. So that was my first case that I was able to take on, and I was able to spend some time with it, getting familiar with our camera systems, seeing how they work, seeing where the faults were with it, and really getting involved with it. And then I was able to spend time doing phone warrants, search warrants, all kinds of stuff that you would never have time to do as a traditional patrol officer. So I was able to put a lot of time into that. And I also was able to get a trail camera set up, which caught them red-handed. So I was able to work that, and as you can see, it was close to $20,000 or $20,000, if not more. So I was able to work with the businesses, with the parks department, with our streets department. We all worked really close together. You know, I'd see something, report it, they'd clean it up. So we were working hand in hand, and it was really nice to have everyone kind of on the same page and really looking after the city, and it came to a great resolution. So the 2 suspects were caught, a 23-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they had some felony charges on them, and the case is in the courts right now. It's going through the court system, and so that's where we're at. So that was kind of the first thing that got me introduced to being down there. My whole idea was to be visible, and so that was kind of what my goal was with the businesses, to be visible. So we selected this uniform. It's super bright. Everyone notices it. So I go out in the mornings and I ride the bike through downtown Tigard, the trails behind the library, and I'm really visible. I look, see what's going on in front of the businesses, behind the businesses, kind of before they open up, and just kind of get a vibe for the day there. And then I will come back, write reports, do whatever I need to do, and then go out and like post homeless camps or deal with any issues that have been brought to my attention over the weekend or over the evening. And so with the businesses, I really wanted to build like a community down there and have everyone kind of looking out for each other. So what I'm doing, I'm in the process of doing, is I have a questionnaire, and I go out and I'm asking all the businesses kind of the same questions, you know, introducing myself, just telling them what I do, and then how would they like to get contacted, you know, text, email, or whatnot. What would they like to see out of kind of the explanation of what I described my position is, and leave it open for them to say, I'm open for whatever you want this position to be. This is for you to help your businesses grow, to help your businesses be successful. So I'm here for you, and nothing's off the table. Anything outside the box is fair game. So trying to build a relationship like that. And I give them a little plant with a Tiger Police sticker on it, my card with my direct cell phone number, my schedule, how to reach me, because I want to be very accessible, and I want them to be able to call me and me be able to react, respond, answer little questions, anything like that. So my idea is to be just there for them, that kind of point of contact for everything. So with the Sad Ghost case, kind of got me going with the graffiti. And so being down there with all the construction, they're all pretty upset with the construction, and so I'm just trying to do my part. I've reached out to Pride Disposal to get all the dumpsters replaced with fresh ones that don't have graffiti on them. We're replacing the garbage cans that have graffiti on them, and they've been cycling them out, and so that's helping. So I'll send like a message to all the businesses, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I just did. I also get a crime analysis for the week from our crime analyst, and it's just specific to the downtown area, and so I've been trying that out with some of the businesses that seem interested in that. So I've been emailing that to them as kind of a little beta testing, and they really like it. So I'm going to start pushing that out to everyone. And that just tells them, what happened over the week, what kind of calls were there, so they can get an idea of what's happening there. So I've been dealing with that with the businesses. I've met with the chamber. I've met with the Downtown Business Alliance. They just hired a new director. So him and I walked the streets this week, kind of just talking about the ins and outs of the downtown area and how we can work together and be like one unit to really help the downtown businesses. And so that's kind of what I've been doing with the downtown businesses. On the homeless side, I've been working with Just Compassion. I met with Caleb, which I'm sure you're familiar with, then Donnell, who's the who's the operations manager. So we all met and kind of just talked about how I can help and what the police can do to, because a lot of times they don't want the police to respond, but they call us and then we respond. So they can just call me and ask a question, or we talk directly, or I come across a homeless camp or a homeless group where they aren't familiar with what Just Compassion is, so I get them in contact with Caleb, or I have brochures and cards that I hand out to all of them and point them in the right direction and follow up with that. And so I've been building a relationship there, and I check in on my bike ride. I check in and just see how everything's going. Like we had an incident there yesterday where one of the houseless individuals caused a fight, and so he ended up going to jail, and they were pretty traumatized by that. So I stopped in today to see how things were going, and they were all very appreciative of that. So again, trying to build that community that just everyone's kind of working together. And so at a recent camp cleanup, there was a homeless lady who I think came and spoke here. And so the plant, we had her all set up with housing, it was all squared away, and then it fell through at the last minute. So then she was kind of just left there to pick up the pieces. So I followed up with Just Compassion, and I was a real advocate for her to continue that process and to understand myself what happened and how could this happen. This is exactly what the system is built for, a pregnant younger female who's on the streets, and she's due, I think, in 7 weeks. So I was a little confused and concerned, and citizens were calling in as well, saying, hey, there's this lady on the side of the street, like, what's going on? So I had the answers for them, and we're still in the process of getting her some housing, but it's a slow process, and unfortunately, there's people ahead of her, and all the avenues and all the resources are being used on, she's just further down on the list, unfortunately. So I'm trying to be a voice for her and just be that squeaky wheel, because you really have to be your own advocate when you're out there, from what I'm learning. So I'm trying to do that and give them the confidence to do that as well. And so I've been working with our streets and parks with camp cleanups. There's an abandoned camp or whatever. So I call them up, hey, there's this camp over here. Can you guys come clean it up? Sure. They go and clean up the next day. Or they call me, hey, Brian, there's this camp that we just spotted down in Cook Park. Can you come help us out with it? Sure. So I get to devote time to that. Whereas before it'd be, hey, patrol officer, can you go out and check on this camp? Okay, yep. Oh, there's someone there. And we're so busy, so understaffed that it's hard to continue that follow-up and follow through with that type of stuff. So I'm able to do that, which helps, keep the parks and keep the city clean. So that's going very well. And I think the parks and the Streets guys are getting a little overwhelmed with me because, hey, there's graffiti over here, here, there's this garbage over here. So, like, Brian, we only have so many people. I've got to shuffle all these people around. But we're working well together. So that's nice. We're, you know, first name basis, which, I mean, I already knew all of them anyways, but it's just, you know, texting, talking back and forth. So that's great. And again, I'm building relationships with the library. You know, I didn't have too much time spent with the library, so I'm really spending a lot of time over there. I enjoy being around there and just giving them that sense that, you know, the police are here to support you, especially with the recent Pride stuff. Just making sure that I'm there and that they have someone that's, you know, just like, hey, I'm thinking of you. You know, this is unfortunate this happened, but we're here. Let us know whatever we can do. We're here. We support you. Just, you know, give them that assurance that we're on the same side and same page. It was nice seeing Council President Hu at the Pride raising ceremony. I've got a helmet for you if you ever want to come ride the trails. I know you're talking about coming out, but a helmet for any of you that want to come out. I've been working with Kim, who's the new homeless kind of liaison. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember what her exact title is, but working with her she's working on some pamphlets to hand out with the time, place, and manner stuff. So I've been working with her and Caleb and the downtown businesses with kind of how it's going to look and handing them out so they're all aware of what's going to happen when June 1st or July 1st comes out. So that's what I've been doing. I've been busy, and there's stuff I'm missing, but that's kind of the scope of everything. And
Okay, I'm going to interject. I think that
I'm impressed you waited that long.
Well, you know, it is quite clear that Brian leads with compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
He obviously scored very high to even get this position. It was actually a no-brainer, but he has really dived into this and given his heart and soul. And it's truly what we espouse to you when we're talking about guardians of our community, and that is how do we look at a problem, fix it, work together. You know, he talks about collaboration. You know, it isn't there's a time and place when we have to use enforcement in jail, but how do we solve the problem, the root cause? He has always been the face for our unhoused community, and they've known him for years. And this just gives him a platform and an opportunity to be who he is and freed up to do that. So with that, definitely want to give you an opportunity to ask Brian any follow-up questions, but he is the real deal.
Thank you. I just want to start by thanking you, Chief McAlpine, for really dedicating your already short staff to a position like this and to step in and to make that judgment call, and because it's making a difference. And Officer Orth, I just want to commend you, right? Like, we talk about, I'm a planner and a preparer, and I want to get ahead of things, and I don't want to wait for things to blow up in order for us to address them. And you are like an angel coming down to really build those relationships and get ahead of these problems and show all of our community members that we care, and we're just not reacting, we're proactive, and that we care about them and we want to help them find solutions. And it's incredible to hear in a short period of time everything that you've done to build that community. And so I just also want to say, if you need anything to assist, we don't have lots of money or resources, but please reach out to us if there's something that you need to help you do your job, because it's exactly the kinds of things that I think as a council that we want to do. So anything that we can do to help, please let us know.
Everyone's been great. That's what's been so nice, is there's been no no's. It's just been like, yep, you need a trail camera? All right, let's get you a trail camera. You need to come out on extra patrol at nighttime? You've got it. It's been fantastic. So it's refreshing, because in the police world, you don't have the luxury of time. And this, I have the luxury to do. And I'd like to think I'm very efficient with my time, and I can accomplish a lot in that amount of time. And it's going very well. And like you were talking about, the sense of community, that's what I'm trying to build with the downtown businesses, where, oh, you see a piece of garbage and someone picks it up, you know, or they're just looking out for each other and they call me, hey, Brian, there's some fresh graffiti here. Okay, great, we'll get it taken care of. Or someone left a garbage bag in my, on the sidewalk here. Oh, we'll get it taken care of. And I can call the streets, I can call the parks, and instantly it's taken care of. So it's nice, and just everyone kind of feels like they're taking part in building that community down there. And that's what my long-term goal is, just to really have that hometown feel down there. And it's in the right direction, and everyone is loving what's going on. And they're like, I never thought I'd like a beat cop, but this is the closest thing to a beat cop ever, and this is the greatest thing ever. And they're, saying hi to me and just flagging me down and stuff. And so it's been fantastic. The response has been overwhelming. It's been very positive, and everyone's very excited about it. And I think it's showing, and I'm just excited to keep the ball rolling with it.
Excellent. Are there any questions? Yeah, Council President Hu?
Thank you, Officer Orth. Just a little request: when you send out those pilot weekly newsletters or email to downtown business, I would love to get a copy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No problem.
That's an excellent request. Yes, please just copy council mail on it.
Okay.
Councilor Wolf?
Yeah, so ditto. So thank you so much for your work. And Officer Orth, I was just curious, so when you started this role, is this what you expected it would be, or you went in with kind of the mindset of your long-term goal, so whatever may be comes my way and I'll build from there?
Yeah, yes, on both of those. I went in because the PA position is getting creative. So I went in with a PowerPoint presentation, what I wanted it to look like. This is what I want it to look like. And I had this uniform kind of hidden behind the curtains. I was like, this is what I want it to look like. And like, oh, that's great. And so I was like, this is, I'd like to go out in the morning, ride the bike, do this, exactly what I'm doing. But then, on top of that, it's worked better than what I was planning. So, yes, it's blossoming into something that's been very successful and better than I was anticipating. And it's kind of getting a little bigger too, because now the parks are calling for some services and stuff, which is great. Some of the bigger issues that a patrol officer can't respond to, they're, hey Brian, can you come check this out? Sure, no problem. So it's better than what I had planned. It's what I wanted to do, but then even better.
All right, he's humble again. I'm just going to say, as he told me, he goes, I want this to be the model that every agency and city looks to us for. That's a high bar he sets for himself. All I have to do is get out of the way and give him that freedom, because he intuitively knows how to make connections, does the right thing for the right reason all of the time. And he has led an exemplary 2 months, and I don't think he's going to slow down anytime soon. And just to put a face for all those that the city manager often in his administrative reports talks about when we are fortunate to save a life and do life-saving. Brian has 6 of those. 6 of those life-saving. I think I've been able to issue 4 in my time, and they're for a variety of different ways. This is a man who leans in and goes towards things. He does not shy away, and I think we're all better for it. So appreciate you.
Well, I just want to say good luck to whatever officer has to step in when he goes on vacation. Please take vacation. It's important. But good luck to the officer. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the update, and you're welcome. Please contact us anytime you need anything, or if there's any additional information you think that we should be looped in on. We appreciate you. The next item on our agenda is written public comment. We received 3 comments yesterday by noon. The first is from Emily Stewart, who wants to consider a fireworks ban to the early drought conditions and strained emergency resources. Micah Bruin emailed us on a wide variety of different topics. And Steve D'Angelo emailed us concerns about agenda item number 6, the public hearing, as far as the fee structure for downtown events. I do want to ask the council, simply because of the time of the year, regarding Emily Stewart's request, is there any desire to discuss next week, given its timing, on a fireworks ban? Just a yes or a no. I don't know if you're aware of our current, I don't want to call it a policy. Is it an ordinance? It's an ordinance. I'm getting a yes from Shelby.
Yes, it is an ordinance. So right now we prohibit fireworks during red flag conditions. And last year we upped the penalties and established our own code related to illegal fireworks to give PD a little bit more enforcement authority outside of state statute.
Thank you for that update. I'm just looking to see if there's any interest simply due to time constraints. Even if we want it to come forward and have the discussion, that would need to happen next week. Or maybe just think about it and let the city manager know by tomorrow morning on whether or not it should be added to the agenda, because maybe Or are you prepared? Okay, Councilor Wolf?
I just wonder if it should be a discussion, just looking for an update, whether concerns, and recommendation of where we stand. I mean, a week's not that long, to be honest, but it's been a very dry time. So I'm just open to, if that makes sense, I'm, open to a conversation.
Open to a conversation, okay. Council President Hu?
Same here, open to conversation.
Councilor Singh?
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to discuss this.
Okay, sounds good. So City Manager Reimer, and can we add that to the agenda for next week for an update and a recommendation?
Certainly, we will.
Thank you. City Recorder Krager. Okay, next item on our agenda is public comment in person, and we do have one individual signed up today. Gabrielle Bueller, please come on up. You have 2 minutes to speak to us on whatever topic you'd like to talk about, and I just ask that you make sure that your microphone is turned on. Welcome.
Hello? Okay. So I was the one that came down to the police station on Thursday and reported the threats of violence. And since nobody in this room wanted to say it, it was Antifa. Antifa was making the threats of violence. I showed them screenshots of the people that busted up downtown in 2021 because I'm concerned about my community. And it got reported in the news and all this stuff, and you guys insinuate it like it's something else, and it's not. The goal was to occupy the space. That's right out of Martin Luther King's playbook. Occupy the space. That's all people wanted to do. People that live here. The flag wave event that we had on Sunday, it was just that. Just a flag wave event. There's flags all up and down these streets. It's just a flag wave event. It's nothing else than that. The honks were about 25-1. About one person would flip us off for 25 honks. So we know we have support. Because what's happening is the sexualization of children. We have a whole month devoted to sexualization. We have 1 day for Memorial Day, 1 day to honor my friends that died. 1 day. And you spend a whole month on this. What about a week for these officers? What about the firefighters? What about the veterans? Nothing. But we got to spend a whole week doing this, a whole month doing this. It really aggravates me because you don't pay homage to the people that serve this nation. You pay homage to a sexuality or whatever gender you think you are. You guys have for Juneteenth, you have the Feral Dance Crew, which is nightlife entertainers. So you're bringing strippers to the event.
I'd like to just advise you your 2 minutes are up and give you an opportunity to wrap up.
I emailed you. I offered you to come down and speak to your constituents so that you could find out what their concerns were, and you didn't even respond back to me. The people that think that we're down there, that think that this is an atrocity to our children, because I brought my children down there, nobody was going to hurt any children. The fake cry that you were doing, nobody was going to hurt any children.
Thank you for your time.
Not going away.
The next item on the agenda is public comment by phone and or video. Information Systems Administrator Thornburg, are there any phone callers in the queue or any requests to comment by video this evening?
None at this time.
All right, thank you so much. We will move on. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda and the local contract review board. The consent agenda is used for routine items, including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. Items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. We have one item on the consent agenda tonight, and that is the business loan fund agreement with a Business Impact Northwest. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder conduct a roll call vote?
Counselor Wolf.
Aye.
Council President Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Lube.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda and the motion is adopted by unanimous vote of the members present. The next item on the agenda is a legislative public hearing for the right-of-way vacation for a portion of Southwest Roshak Road. I will open the public hearing. And anyone that wishes to testify by phone on this issue, please call now to get into the queue. And that phone number again is 503-966-4101. And I would like to welcome City Engineer Wisniewski to give us the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and Mayor Lube. Tonight I'm here and joined by a representative from the applicant, Maureen Jackson from Pacific Community Design, should there be any questions for the applicant themselves. The city received a petition to vacate a portion of unimproved right-of-way known as the 20-foot wide strip of Roshak Road. This area has not been improved as a street. It's been vacant, and it is part of a current private development known as the River Terrace Town Center in the River Terrace area, relatively close to Roy Rogers Road and Jean Louise intersection. To give a little bit of history on this location, just to the south of this development is the Polygon at Roshak Ridge development, and council a handful of years ago, very vague term, sorry about that, but took previous action to vacate another portion of this right-of-way. By vacating this, it allows for the current developer to construct stormwater facilities, bike ped improvements, actually a portion of, I believe it's known as Beacon Lane, improvements as part of that River Terrace Town Center development. So the staff have reviewed the application. We concur with the request that, or we recommend that City Council proceeds with this consideration to vacate the right-of-way. And I just ask that we open up for public comment at this point, and then I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Are there any? Okay. We didn't receive any written comments noon by Monday. Mr. Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue to testify on this item?
None at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. And there is no one signed up in person to testify. And so there's no response. And so I will close the public hearing. And we will now consider the ordinance 23-04. Is there any discussion? Any questions?
I move to approve ordinance number 23-04.
I second.
The ordinance has been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the ordinance?
Ordinance number 23-04, an ordinance concerning the vacation of a 20-foot wide portion of public right-of-way, better known as Southwest Roshak Road, County Road number 3282, along the south property line of tax lot 3300 on map 2 South 106 in the city of Tigard.
Thank you. Will the city recorder please conduct a roll call vote?
Councilor Wolf.
Yes.
Council President Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Lube.
Yes.
Councilor Singh.
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-04 is adopted unanimously by the councilors present. Okay, we are moving on to our next agenda item, and thank you. I'd like to start with a little background. So we are now moving into approving the budget portion of our meeting today. And there has been a robust discussion with a lot of our budget committee and our community members. And so I always want to preface this by saying there's a potential that we move very quickly tonight through this process, but it has been months in the making. Our budget committee consists of 5 community members and the 5 members of council who met 3 different times in the month, I believe, of May, if I'm remembering correctly. It's all blending together. Okay, thank you. And I do want to highlight that all of those meetings were recorded and are available on the budget page if you have any questions. I will say, of the 5 budgets that I have participated in, this was the most participatory, the most conversations and questions and discussions that really, I think, made our budget process really strong with high engagement. And I don't want to say contentious discussions, because I don't think they were contentious, but I think our budget really shows who we are and what our values are, and we had some honest, open discussions about what that meant, and it really made our budget process stronger. So I want to start by prefacing all of those sorts of things, that if you're just tuning in now, it may look like we're passing a lot of money very quickly, but we have spent a lot of time thinking about it. And I do just want to commend our city teammates, our finance team, who works really, really hard and did an amazing job to get us all of the information really quickly, to the robust and sometimes minutia questions that we had and details, and appreciate just the participation of our community members and our counselors. I loved seeing everybody come in with their big binders and highlighters and tabs, and just showing the commitment that everyone has to ensuring that this is a great budget. So with that, I hope I didn't steal any of your thunder. If I did, I'm sorry. But I will start by opening the public hearing. And again, anyone wishing to testify in regards to adopting the 2024 fees and charges schedule, the phone number to call in to get in the queue is 503-966-4101. And I have Management Analyst McGowan to give the staff report. But yeah, welcome. Or are you going to do it? My notes say, this is reading.
That's okay. I just want to say thank you. We absolutely appreciate all of the budget committee meetings that we had, all of the interaction. It was really appreciative, and being able to have those discussions and going through everything. So as you know, I'm Kalina Plath, budget manager. Tonight, myself and Rosie McGowan are going to go through the next 5 agenda items with you all, and hopefully some of them will go fairly quickly, so we're not all here pretty late. Also available if we have any questions is Eric King, our interim finance director, and we have some teammates online if needed. And so, yes, Rosie will do the first one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So my name is Rosie McGowan, and I'm the Finance Management Analyst. So this is the first part of our budget hearing tonight. Every fiscal year, the revised fees and charges schedule is submitted to City Council for approval, along with the citywide operating budget. Exhibit A that was provided is the full fees and charges schedule with proposed changes, and a summary of those changes that serves as a crosswalk, which includes the basis of the change, authority for proposing the change, and where those changes can be found in the fee and charges schedule. For many of the fees and charges, the annual escalation is based on indices as authorized in the Tigard Municipal Code or previously adopted resolutions. Additionally, some fees are determined by other agencies or department policies. So just a couple things to highlight. Due to the high inflation environment over the past year, there are some index increases that are of note. First would be the West Consumer Price Index, or CPIU, which was 8% for 2022. This rate is used for parking permits, the business license fee, and the Tigard sanitary sewer surcharge. The CPIU is also typically used to update the solid waste collection rates. However, there is a rate study that has been conducted, and that's going to be presented to you here on June 27th for further consideration. So those, there's no increase proposed here tonight for those. Another index of note is the Washington County land acquisition cost, which increased 13%. This is used along with the Seattle construction cost index, the CCI, to determine the park system development charges. And so that makes this proposed increase this year 8.4%. And then finally, the street maintenance fee is increased annually based on a 2-year rolling average of the Seattle CCI, along with the Oregon Monthly Asphalt Cement Material Price Index. Both are actually lower this year, but because it's a 2-year rolling average, last year it was pretty significantly high, which resulted in a 12.7% increase, but we do cap that at 7%, so that's what you'll see in the increase. The last few areas of note is the water system development charges are reduced by 55%, and that was due to an updated report that was adopted by council back in October of 2022, as well as the inclusion of downtown-specific special event permit fees, which are designed to respond to the unique needs of the downtown area and its events. And our Public Works Department reviewed other local jurisdiction fee structures when assessing what that fee structure would look like. So that's the high-level overview of some things to note. This year for the proposed fees and charges updates, the team recommendation is to move forward with the fees, and we are here for questions along with other teammates as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions specific to the fee schedule? Yes, Council President Hu.
Yeah, just first make a disclosure, just out of bounds caution. I just want to disclose I'm a business owner, so this business license fee will impact me, but I'm not recusing myself, but it applies generally to everybody, same as, streets fee. I'm a resident, so I pay that too. So just want to disclose that. And I also want to state that based on my meeting conversation with staff, that the TDA requests, Downtown Business Alliance requests to delay the special event fee for downtown. That concern has been addressed, so they have no further issue or comments on that at this point. Right. So, thank you so much. And my understanding that the special event fee for downtown event, it is currently set up as a pilot program, and the city is actually now publicly accepting applications for special event in downtown right now. So, and the schedule will be updated by the end of the year again. So I just want to let everybody know that. So thank you.
Thank you. There were no written comments received for this item. Network Administrator Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. And there is no one who signed up in person, so there's no response to anything, and so I will close the public hearing. Is there any additional discussion on this resolution?
Okay. I move to approve resolution number 23-13.
I second the motion.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-13, a resolution amending the citywide fees and charges schedule, which was adopted under Resolution 22-12 and subsequent amendments.
Thank you. Will you also conduct a roll call vote?
Yes.
Council President Hu?
Yes.
Mayor Liu?
Yes.
Councilor Singh?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Resolution number 23-13 is adopted by unanimous vote of the councilors present. Do you really have a clapper? That is amazing. Can you do it a little louder? I mean, there we go. I didn't see any up here, so I don't think they truly really distributed them to everybody. Can you pass that along, please? Okay.
I will let Judge Emily know you need a clapper.
I'm sort of afraid of what I'm going to find up here next week, actually, with that comment. Okay, so next item on the agenda is a public hearing to certify that the City of Tigard provides services qualifying for state shared revenues. And I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to testify by phone on this particular agenda item, please call in now to get in the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. And I'd like to turn it over for the staff report.
Thank you. So for these next two items, we are requesting resolution and approval for state shared revenues for cigarette, gas, and liquor taxes. The first resolution, as you stated, is certifying that the City of Tigard's eligibility as provided under ORS 221.760, providing that at least 4 of the 7 required services to which Tigard provides all eligible services with the exception of fire protection.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions specifically in regards to this? No. Okay. We didn't receive any written comments today on this agenda item. Mr. Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue?
None at this time.
Thank you so much. No one has signed up to testify in person, so there is no response testimony, and I will close the public hearing. And we will now consider resolution, the resolution number 23-14.
I move to approve resolution number 23-14.
A second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. City Recorder Krager, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 23-14. A resolution certifying that the City of Tigard provides services qualifying for state shared revenues.
Thank you so much. Will you conduct a roll call vote as well, please?
Councillor Wolf.
Yes.
Council President Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Liu.
Yes.
Councillor Singh.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 23-14 is adopted by unanimous vote of the council president. I think I'm going to expect that every time now. This is amazing. The next item on our agenda is to declare the city's election to receive state revenue sharing. I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to testify by phone on this agenda item, please get into the queue now by calling 503-966-4101. And I will turn it over for the staff report.
Thank you. This resolution is certifying the requirements to actually request the state revenue sharing funds as outlined in ORS 221.770. Electing to receive the funds, holding the budget approval hearing, which we did on May 8th, and then tonight's budget adoption meeting. Also levying property tax in the preceding year. We have done all of those requirements. Our budget projection for the revenue sharing is approximately $745,000.
Thank you for your report. Are there any questions regarding the report? Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue?
Not at this time.
Thank you. There were no written comments received by noon on Monday, and there is no one set to sign up in person, so there's no response needed. And I will close the public hearing, and we will now consider resolution of 23-15.
I move to approve resolution 23-15.
I second the motion.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-15. A resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing.
Thank you. City Recorder Krager, can you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councillor Wolf.
Yes.
Council President Hu.
Yes.
Mayor Lube.
Yes.
Councillor Singh.
Yes.
Resolution 23-15 is adopted by unanimous vote of the council president. The next item on the agenda is to adopt the budget, making appropriations, declaring the ad valorem tax levy, and classifying the levy as provided. I will open the public hearing, and anyone wishing to testify by phone, video, or in person, it's here if you want to sign up or just raise your hand. If you want to call, please call now to get into the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. And I will turn it over to you for the staff report.
Thank you. This one will be a little longer. We have a presentation.
Eric, I think we need the other folder. This is the one labeled budget.
Stand by, pulling it up.
So while he's pulling that up, I can kind of start with one of our first slides is how did we get here? And as Mayor Lube stated previously, we had many budget committee meetings, and it's on my slide, so I'm going to go off the top of my head, and I believe it was April 22nd was our first in-person budget committee meeting. And we did a full day of meetings, discussions, going over the budget. We then came back for our next meeting on May 1st, and then we had the budget approval on May 8th. And that brought us to tonight, where we want to have you look over the approved budget and then also just a couple of little last minute appropriation changes from fiscal year 23 that we're rolling into 24. And that would be for the adopted budget. I believe the next slide is asking for public comment. It's been about 2 weeks, so.
Yes, that is the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. It says, before the meeting, community members submitted testimony using input on the city's website. Please sign in if you haven't already. I've got the slides, so. I don't believe we received any public comment on the budget.
And I did not receive any written comments as well.
Okay. So the next slide is to consider the approved budget with total appropriations of $294,225,272 with 351.8 FTE. Adjustments as follows of $255,930, increasing the total appropriation to $294,481,202. The next slide is talking about carry forward and transfer adjustments.
I'm actually pulling it up right here, Mayor. Thank you. Okay, so for fiscal year 23-24 approved budget carry forward adjustments, it's a beautiful slide. It talks about the changes from appropriations via carry forwards, which we are reducing fiscal year 23 and moving a couple appropriations over into the fiscal year 24. The first of which is in city management. It is in the professional services contracts area. Several service contracts were not fully completed during fiscal year 23 and will be rolling into fiscal year 24. I think 2 more slides. 1 more. And another. There we are. And so the total amount of those contracts is the $241,000. And then also in information technology, they had 2 additional contracts that were also not fully completed during the fiscal year and will be rolling into fiscal year 24 for a total of $14,930. And it is important to note that for these, they are coming from our central services fund, but as other departments have already paid into this fund to pay for this, it is only moving the expenditure appropriation into the next year. It will not be an additional charge on the other departments. Next slide. And so this is a transfer of appropriation. As we were preparing our final budget document, we noticed that there was a split of our assistant finance director that did not occur in this budget. And so 20% of that is typically billed over to the utility billing division for the portion of work with that division. It was not showing in the approved budget, so we were just asking for a transfer from the finance operations into utility billing. And then that actually transfers over into 3 funds, as was on, I believe, Exhibit A, where it will show it hits sanitary, sewer, water, and I'm drawing a blank. Stormwater. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you read the exhibits. And the next slide. And so this is just a detail of all of those together, where it shows the amount that was approved by the Budget Committee as the $294,225,272. We're moving forward the appropriations for both the city management carryover, the IT carryover, and it is a total of $255,930. As you can see, the other allocation is just a transfer, moving it from one fund over into the others, which brings the total recommended adopted budget appropriation to $294,481,202. And so with that, I didn't put this in a slide. So we are asking that you approve that total appropriation, which will also impose taxes at the adopted budget rate of $2.5131 per 1,000 of assessed value, which is our permanent tax rate, plus the addition of 29 cents per 1,000 local option levy property tax, and the amount of $2,792,000 for debt service for our general obligation bonds.
Thank you. There were no written comments received for this item by noon on Monday. Network Administrator Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue to testify?
None at this time.
Okay. And there is no one signed up to testify in person, so there is no response. I will close the public hearing. Are there any council questions or consideration of resolution number 23-16?
Before I move to approve, I just want to thank the staff for your hard work on this. I really appreciate it. And fellow councilor, Mayor Loop, and members of the budget committee. This is a lot of work and a lot of tough decisions were made. And I'm excited that we're going to have a quarterly budget meeting from now on. So to the member of the public who have now had a chance to provide your input, this is not the end of the story, and we're going to continue receiving public input, and I will welcome anybody who have any new suggestions or about budget to provide them. So with that, I move to approve resolution number 23-16.
I'll second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. City Recorder Krager, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 23-16, a resolution of the City of Tigard adopting the approved budget with adjustments, making appropriations, declaring the ad valorem tax levy, and classifying the levy as provided by ORS 310-0602 for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you. Will you also conduct a roll call vote?
Councilor Wolf?
Yes.
Council President Hu?
Yes.
Mayor Lube?
Yes.
Councilor Singh?
Yes.
Resolution number 23-16 is adopted by unanimous vote of the Council President. Congratulations. It's a big deal. Well done. We will move on to the Town Center Development Agency public hearing. Excuse us. And to adopt the TCDA fiscal year 2024 budget with adjustments, making appropriations and imposing and categorizing taxes. I will open the public hearing, and anyone wishing to testify by phone on the TCDA budget, please go ahead and call in now to get into the queue. That phone number is 503-966-4101. You'd think I'd have that memorized by now. I will turn it over to you for the staff report.
Thank you. And for this, we are just requesting that the council adopt the TCDA budget as approved by the Budget Committee back on May 8th, so no solid presentation for this one, which was a total appropriation of $10,977,750. Thank you.
Thank you. There were no written comments received by noon. Mr. Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue?
None at this time.
Thank you so much. There is no one signed up to speak in person, and so there's no response to testimony. I will close the public hearing, and now it's time for the Town Center Development Agency to consider TCDA Resolution 23-04. Are there any questions or comments?
I move to approve TCDA resolution number 23-04.
I second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
TCDA Resolution Number 23-04, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget, making appropriations and imposing and categorizing taxes.
Thank you. Will you also please conduct a roll call vote?
Director Wolf,
Yes.
Director Hu,
Yes.
Chair Lube,
Yes.
Director Singh.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. The TCDA Resolution 23-04 is passed unanimously by members of the agency present. Congratulations. I will now reconvene the Tigard City Council for the remainder of the meeting. The next item on the agenda this evening is a City Center TIF, which is Tax Increment Financing District Update. And I would like to welcome up Redevelopment Project Manager Fairley to give the PowerPoint. Welcome.
Thank you. Technically, I think you're still the board of the Town Center Development Agency for this, but that's okay.
My apologies. Do you want us to swap it back?
You won't be taking any action this evening, so it's just an update. So good evening, Chair Lube and the directors of the Town Center Development Agency. I'm Sean Farrelly, Redevelopment Project Manager, and tonight at the request of the board, we're providing an update on the City Center TIF District. Next slide. Tonight we'll be talking about the TIF District's history, goals, projects, and implementation, and there will be a sequel coming in August. We'll be talking about short and medium-term financing project implementation. We're working with an advisor on developing some estimates and short and medium-term financing plan, including borrowing. So we'll have that information for you in August. Next slide. So why downtown? Why are we focusing these this effort and these funds in downtown? Well, downtown is the historic center of Tigard. There was an Oregon Electric Railway stop that was right off Main Street in 1910, and that kind of pedestrian-oriented form can be seen still on Main Street in many cases. As the freeways came to Tigard and there was more auto-oriented development that maybe took away some of the primacy of downtown. And there's been quite a few different plans to revitalize downtown going back to the 70s and 80s. The current effort dates to 2005, and that's with the Tigard Downtown Improvement Plan, which was a lot of community involvement to kind of decide what downtown should look like. Residents said they wanted an economically healthy and vital green heart. They wanted their downtown to be the green heart of the community of Tigard. And they expressed interest in pedestrian-friendly development and trails, sidewalks, and mixed-use development that can support that. There's also a good opportunity in downtown Tigard for transit-oriented development. There is currently pretty good transit service in the downtown with all the bus routes that can converge on the transit center and with WES. Could be better if we get the light rail. Next slide. So the context of planning the downtown, we recognize downtown's importance by having the comprehensive plan has a downtown special chapter for downtown. That's a special planning area. In the Tigard Development Code, downtown is a plan district, and that has a lot of detailed standards that ensure new development is high quality, promotes walkability. Currently, we are in the middle of the Downtown Reimagine project. That's going to be proposing some updates to the comprehensive plan, also the TSP and the development code, and there will be a council briefing coming up in September on that. And then downtown, together with the Tigard Triangle, is a 2040 town center. Metro has designated this area as an area with good potential for growth, more intensive development, and for better transit service, including a southwest corridor, a light rail, should that project come back. Next slide. So, we have the planning documents of the TDIP, the Tigard Downtown Improvement Plan, and we've done a couple of different versions of kind of visualizing what that would look like, what that plan would look like in 3D. TDIP just kind of has some flat maps. It doesn't really show the character of the development. So the most recent visualization we've done was in 2020, the downtown vision, kind of imagining what the full build out of the TDIP could be, and basically shown here is Burnham Street, 2 to 6 story development, active street life. We have new streets, breaking down the large blocks that exist in downtown currently, connections to Fano Creek Park. This view is actually looking from Hall down to Main Street. It also shows potential new city offices that would open up this current campus to new housing development, and also has the Universal Plaza there, which you can't see because it's between 2 buildings. But this kind of shows the kind of development once downtown is built out, what it would look like. This downtown vision effort in 2020 also developed a new vision statement. And that is downtown is a vibrant, active, and welcoming city center at the heart of our community. It provides transportation, recreation, residential, and business opportunities that are accessible to everyone. So we keep that as our guiding principle. Next slide shows another visual from the 2020 concept showing Commercial Street, looking from Main Street to Hall. And you'll probably notice there that there is a MAC station there. So this is done when we were working under the assumption that light rail would come. So the Hall, the MAC station was planned to be at Hall, and that could open up commercial as a main corridor as well, with more housing and redevelopment. Next slide. So we have this vision. How do we turn it into a reality? Well, with a TIF district plan. And that is a list of projects and, most importantly, a funding source, or in this case, partial funding source. There are a lot of projects in the plan that I'll talk about in a few minutes. So this district was formed in May 2006, and there was, when it was first formed, the maximum indebtedness, which is another word for how much funding can be put towards projects, was set at $22 million. It was a 20-year project. This was, compared to cities of similar size, a very modest amount of money, especially with a long list of projects. Right after this plan was approved by the voters, the Great Recession hit, and so that kind of held back the TIF district for a while. It stalled the TIF growth, the growth in property values, and stalled new development. So we did a substantial amendment back in 2017. That was to increase the district by about 40 acres, and that was intended to generate some additional TIF, tax increment financing, and that was approved by the voters. In 2020, we did a City Center Futures project, and we looked at different options to, take the TIF district moving to the future. It was recommended that a substantial amendment be done again, this time expanding the amount of money that would be available, increasing the maximum indebtedness to $42.8 million, extending the time to issue debt to 2034, and updating the project list. And this amendment was approved quite handily with 65% of the vote. So the district size is currently about just under 230 acres. Base assessed value, that is the frozen base, if you will, and it's grown to $191 million in fiscal year 24. That's generating annually $845,000 currently in TIF, and that grows every year. The maximum debt limit, again, is $42.8 million. We've issued $12.5 million in debt, and the remaining debt limit is just under $30.3 million. Next slide. So our TIF plan has 5 goals. They talk about importance of natural resources as amenity and contributing to the special sense of place, looking at community rail and Fanno Creek as catalyst for future development, saying that. Next slide, please. So street and streetscape improvements can obviously make a very big difference and attract new development, new investment. Main Street, Green Street Phase 1 and 2, which Phase 2 should be wrapping up here shortly. There is about $1 million of TIF in the Phase 2 of that. Burnham Street was another big TIF plan project done back in 2009. There's only a little bit of TIF in there just because there was only a little bit of TIF available back then. Other projects it's done include connector from Ash Avenue from the commuter rail lots to Burnham, and then the Main Street gateways. Next slide. In the plan, we have called out public spaces and plazas specifically, and so Universal Plaza, that has been a big focus of the TIF district for the past 3 years. Recently open to the public, and that's going to continue to be a really important asset for the downtown, attracting people, becoming a gathering place for the community, and there will be a Phase 2 of that in the next few years. That will build a shelter and a community room. Next slide. Other public spaces. Some of the public spaces were kind of visualized as a series of smaller public spaces along Main Street. And those include the completed Rotary Plaza, as well as the in-progress small public viewing space on Ava development, as well as the Nick Wilson Memorial Plaza, which is just starting design and engineering. Next slide. We've been very active with the TIF plans planning and development assistance project. I've helped out we facilitated a number of projects in the downtown. Atwell off Main is kind of the biggest. That was completed in 2016, 2017. That was a true public-private partnership. It was built on what used to be the Public Works Yard, and a $31 million project attracted 165 market rate units. Real key to revitalizing downtown is attracting more residents. More residents mean more customers for downtown businesses, and Atwell off Main is a really good example of that. Next slide. The Ava Main Street development, which you're very familiar with, the agency has been involved in this property for quite a long time. Agency purchased the property, cleaned it up, acquired a brownfield grant, cleaned it up, cleared it, and made it available for redevelopment. That development is underway and estimated to be completed in spring of 2024. Next slide. Alongside senior housing is also in the TIF district. This is an example where there's no direct TIF money put into it, but the agency very much led this project. There will be 57 units of affordable housing. Construction is nearly complete, should be done by August, and this project is now, I'm happy to announce, accepting applications for tenancy there. Next slide. Another very popular project we have is our under the Planning and Development Assistance project is our Building Improvement Grant Program. We have 32 businesses and properties that have projects completed on them. And this coming fiscal year, of course, we'll be offering a $75,000 maximum grant, matching grant for eating and drinking establishments. And that should be effective at attracting new restaurants and drinking establishments. Next slide. So we're implementing the plan. Currently, we're working off the Downtown Development 5-year action plan, which is done in 2020. And that was included in your packets. There's 3 main categories of action, as acting as kind of a roadmap. The first one being encouraging and facilitating redevelopment projects downtown. I've just mentioned the Atwell and the Ava projects. If we can attract more affordable, mixed-use, and transit-oriented development, that's going to achieve the vision that is set forth for downtown. Next slide. Next category is improve Fano Creek Park and develop an open space system. That's been mentioned many times that Fano Creek is kind of seen as the green heart of the district, and the downtown is the green heart of Tigard. So public access improvements and restoration of natural areas, some of that has been done in Fano Creek. And the Universal Plaza is in keeping with that theme of a public space that can really interact with the natural resource of Fano Creek and the park there. Also things like the Nick Wilson Memorial Plaza is going to expand the open space and build off of Fano Creek. And the final category is develop comprehensive street and circulation improvements in the downtown. Well-designed streets that promote walking, biking, and use of transit will attract new development to downtown. And obviously what we've been doing with Main Street, Green Street Phase 1 and 2, we saw a lot of new investment in the Main Street Phase 1, and we're expecting similar new private investment to happen once Phase 2 is completed. So staff works together with the Town Center Advisory Commission and you, the TCDA board, to implement these projects. They have to be in line with available resources, but they also have to be opportunistic somewhat to make use of potential public-private partnerships that arise. Next slide. So again, that's what we've covered tonight. History, goals, projects, and implementation. And we will be back in August for discussion of financing and short, medium-term implementation of projects. Next slide. And that shows Phase 2 of Universal Plaza. So happy to answer any questions or engage in any discussion.
Thank you for the background and the roadmap of where we've been. Any questions as far as, yeah, Council President Hu?
You mentioned about encouraging transit-oriented development and more business. Can you give some example of what that would be?
Well, transit-oriented development is it's basically its location to high capacity transit, so denser development that can where the residents can make use of transit. So either that could be bus, light rail can serve a lot more people, but I'd say the Atwell is an example of transit-oriented development. You can walk from the Atwell to the transit center in under 10 minutes if you take the shortcut way. And I'd say that's our prime example of transit-oriented development so far. The AVA will also be, I think many of those residents will make use of transit.
One more question. I personally really, want to support walking and biking definitely within downtown itself. I do that all the time, but I think the question is, how do people get into downtown in the first place? And I heard a lot about high capacity rail and stuff. So are we planning for the possibility that high capacity transit rail will never get to downtown Tigard and connect people here? And what's plan B, or in case, it's easy just to make, downtown, maybe just block downtown off completely or mostly off to cars, but people still need to get to downtown in the first place. So I'm just curious. Maybe there's no answer right now. Maybe that's something we're trying to figure out, but is that something we're thinking about just in case light rail never gets here?
Yeah, that is the big unknown, whether the Southwest Corridor will come back. A lot of resources were put into planning and beginning engineering of that, so we think it's possible that it will come back in the future. But if it does not, this is about multimodal transportation, so cars are one of those modes, and there are projects in the plan, including a parking facility that could be done. We did build a small parking lot on Burnham Street that was done with TIF in response to a request from downtown business owners. But yeah, I think we have to look at the future of transportation and the changing aspects of that. But I think you're right. We do need to get people to downtown and serve all modes.
Thank you.
I will just also say, in response to the high capacity light rail, every meeting that I'm in, when we do talk about regional priorities, that's at the top of the list. So by no means is it something I think that the region has given up on. They're just continuing to look for funding sources, and it still is a very high priority for a lot of people. Even though I know we don't necessarily talk about it as a council, regionally it's talked about all the time. So I hope that context is helpful. Councillor Singh?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the Southwest Corridor and sort of, share the status update on that for community members who aren't sort of keeping track of what happened. But the other question I had was specifically about the Universal Plaza community shelter. You mentioned that there's going to be a shelter being built there, and just wanted to hear if community members are able to reserve that space to hold events and meetings, and just wondering because it doesn't seem like there's that many spaces that folks can sort of gather and sort of meet. So just wondering what the status of that is.
Yeah, certainly that's the intent of the community room, is that it would be able to be used by the public. So there's kind of two aspects. There's the shelter part, which is shown in this depiction, that would be for shade and rain protection. We get some rain here in Portland, in the Tigard. And then part of that would also be a community room. So they're technically two different things. And the community room would, we'd see that as having good technology that could be made available to the public if they reserve it. We don't have any details of how that's going to work. It's too early, and the funding of this, may be 3-4 years out at this point, but it's definitely being thought of, and we have a concept of it, and we'll when we have sufficient funds, we will start the actual design engineering and engaging with the public to see what they would like to see in that community room.
Thank you. I'd love to give sort of an update on where we are in the financing, because I've been deeply involved in it. When I go back to DC, talking to our senators and our congresswomen, I think I don't want to go in necessarily too deep, but in this round for the federal budget, we submitted 3 particular requests for, I guess, what you would call old school earmarks. I forget exactly the different phrases that each chamber is using, but I think for ease of purpose, we'll call it earmarks. And one of them is Universal Plaza for $2 million. So I publicly want to say how incredible our senators are. They actually submitted all 3 projects, which is wonderful and incredible for them to do. Congresswoman Salinas, she submitted 2 of them, and I will just say, it feels like maybe that's not as great, but that is flooringly wonderful. She only gets to submit 15 projects, and she submitted 2 from Tigard for her entire district. That is an incredible win for the projects we are submitting for. So I also want to say, just because she did not submit it and our senators did, does not mean that it is off the table. It is currently involved in the federal budget situation, which is up in the air and requires negotiations and a lot of back and forth. When I was back in DC last week, we talked about this in depth, and they're hoping every day that it changes as far as what information have and how it goes. But we hopefully should be hearing, I think, by the end of July, as long as things continue to progress forward on the budget, whether or not they have been included in the final budget. So I want to have a broad conversation in general. Also, it feels like these things that are going on in Washington, D.C., or even down in Salem, where there's this push and pull about budgets, that it's really foreign to us and it doesn't impact us. But all of these discussions have a huge impact on, the funding that comes directly to Tigard. It is not removed from us. We are directly involved. And so just continue to ask your representatives, A, to show up to work, and B, to do their job and pass budgets. So that's just my little soapbox I'm going to get up on. But I hope that was a good update. Very exciting, looking for $5 million and asked them for 2 of it. And so to get that on the senator's list is incredible. And so just public thank you to them again.
Yeah, that is great news, and if it happens, would be a big boost, obviously, to this phase 2. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, Council President Hu.
And thank you so much, Mayor Loop, for traveling all those different places to advocate on behalf of the city. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I would also like to just share a tidbit that we have 2 Tigard residents, one in Senator Wyden's office and one in Senator Markley's office, who were actually so excited that we were in there and talking to them. And I think that's pretty incredible to have that kind of representation in DC in those offices, who can speak to the kind of community that we have. So one of them is a legislative aide that works there, and another one is actually a summer intern who is in their second year, I think first or second year of college. So pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I apologize for getting us off track. Does anybody have any additional questions? I'm really looking forward to part 2. I think that's where a majority of my questions lie. But it's really helpful to have that foundation of where we've been and what sort of projects have been developed. And I think especially the council has been asking for, what does that mean moving forward? So I think that groundwork is really going to be helpful to us in August. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good discussion.
All right. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation.
Thanks.
We have no non-agenda items this evening, and we did move the administrative report up. No executive session, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
The motion to adjourn has been moved and seconded. City Recorder Krager, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Councilor Wolf,
Yes.
Council President Hu,
Yes.
Mayor Lube,
Yes.
Councilor Singh,
Yes.
The motion has been adopted by unanimous vote of the council president. Thank you. I keep saying president instead of present. Sorry about that. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned tonight, and have a good night, Tigard.